Well, it's about damn time. Nearly 8 months after declaring the pandemic is over, informally, President Joe Biden told Congress he's finally going to end the COVID-19 national emergencies on May 11th. But maybe they forgot to tell Joe Biden about it. Old Joe seemed a little confused today when a reporter asked him about his own decision. Watch.
What's behind your decision to end the COVID emergency?
Well, the emergency will end when the Supreme Court ends it. We've extended to May the 15th to make sure we get everything done. That's all. There's nothing behind the wall.
To the Supreme Court! Thurgood Marshall! The COVID emergency will end May 11th. 11th! And it was ended by our president, not the Supreme Court, oddly enough. When the national emergencies end, so could the pause on student loan payments, free access to vaccines and COVID tests, and the Title 42 immigration policy. So after 3 years, 3 very long years, why did the president decide to drop the emergencies now? Could Sleepy Joe have an ulterior motive? And is it possible he could extend the date once again? Well, let's ask tonight's in-studio man panel, starting with comedian and host of Fox Across America on Fox News Radio, Jimmy Failla, #1, he tells us. We've also got Democrat strategist and former Biden campaign surrogate, for whom the movie Home Alone was inspired, Kevin Walling. Our Kevin, there he is. And the host of the Sharpe Way Show, Larry Sharpe, New York's finest libertarian, is back. So, Jim, I will start with you. A lot of things go away when the national emergencies are kaput, but they should have been 86 a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Among them, Title 42. And now Democrats are freaking out because they're like, well, now we're going to see mass migration. It's like, idiots, didn't you consider that? Like,
this has been going on for a while now.
Yeah.
There's so many ways to come at this from. First and foremost, the fact that the World Health Organization doesn't want him ending the pandemic, but Biden thinks The Who is a British rock band. So he's like, wait, why are they singing? They're putting out an album again?
You think Keith Moon?
I just love that they
COVID.
chose the very scientific date of May 11th, because we all know the virus is like a GPS. It gives you an ETA. It knows it'll no longer be potent on May the 11th.
Absolutely right.
Essentially what we're saying, though, in a roundabout way, is this has been a pandemic of bureaucracy now for 2.5 years, and they were using it as kind of a Trojan horse for anything else they wanted to piggyback off of COVID with. Remember the old Chris Rock bit about Robitussin?
Yeah.
Like any problem you got, pour a little tussin on it. And that was the pandemic. Pour a little COVID on it, and they could work around. But it's over now, Walling.
But
I'm excited.
should it be over, Kevin? Look, we should all be forced. The triple-demic means that we should be masking forever. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a pandemic. You just add demic onto the end of it, and you've given your civil liberties back to the
And it's terrifying
state.
to middle America. Listen, this is a day to celebrate that this is coming to an end. I think this administration, as with the last administration, has had to have it both ways, right? Using the cover of these emergency declarations to enact some different policies, using its withdrawal to enact different policies. There is a bureaucratic element to all of this. I think there is a timing issue involved in that there's a lot of ramifications with Medicare, Medicaid reimbursements. I think with hospitals and our hospital system, you have to give it a little bit of time for those to
Government-created
get in
problems.
place. There is a lot of movement. It's a cruise ship that doesn't turn easily, this all government that's all encompassing. So I think that is giving them this timeline in order to get our ducks in a row. But we'll see. I think it should have been over yesterday.
I think you could give them 5 years. They would never have their ducks in a row.
No, that's very true.
Because bureaucracy gives way to disorganization, but it's the concentration of power, Larry, that I don't care if they claim something is going to end, they're never going to give that away.
Why would they want to, right? The problem with Biden has now is nobody's happy. Right? You got half of the country or a chunk of the country saying, oh, my God, what are you, crazy? I mean, people are still dying, right? So you're a monster. You know, mass the nation today, mass the nation tomorrow, mass the nation forever. They want to mass the nation forever. And you got other people saying, I've been done with this for months. And someone else saying, hey, where's my apology for literally destroying everything?
Yes.
All that together, but what are we actually getting now? What we're getting is now we're having more student debt, which people thought was going to go away, and that's not. Now we also have the idea we're going to have worse health care insurance, which we thought that was going to get better. That's not. And we'll get more migrant workers, which we weren't ready for that either. So we're getting nothing but bad. This is lose everywhere. And as a bonus, Government gets absolutely no accountability whatsoever.
No, not at all.
Win-win-win for them.
No, but they can just say, oh my God, we've run out of money. We need
Correct.
more money
Yep.
for immigration. We need more money for immigration courts and border agents, even though we hate them, and everything else. So they create these problems
Yes.
in order to get more money, which only gives them more power. But I thought it was very interesting, Jimmy, because the OMB, the Office of Management and Budget, wrote of the ending of the COVID national emergencies, an abrupt end to the emergency declarations would create wide-ranging chaos.
What?
I think people are actually pretty good with the idea of going back to the lives that they were living pre-pandemic, and they've been there a while.
That's what we're kind of getting out of this, is somewhat of an attempt at a return to normalcy, because
Yes.
here's a news flash. Most of the country finished COVID like 2 years ago.
Yes.
Like, we're watching season 1 of The Crown right now as a bureaucracy. Everybody else is
Who's
like,
Winston
dude,
Churchill?
they're on their 3rd queen right now. What's even going on? The masks have been off. They've been out. They've been hanging out. Since, honestly, I can tell you this from the radio, September of 2020, COVID was done in like most of the country. I'm not saying people weren't getting sick.
Yes.
I'm saying people weren't having their lives governed
people
by
were
it.
getting sick, but the
Yeah.
difference was between March and September, we knew a lot more about the virus.
Targeted
Yes.
data.
Exactly right.
We
Exactly
knew the
right.
people who were vulnerable and who were dying.
But it doesn't mean we utilized it.
No, it
That's
was
the
not.
worst-
But see,
that is
that's
the
thing.
worst part.
And that-
Parents
Yes,
were ready
that's the
for their
worst part.
kids to go back to school in September 2020,
Yes. Yep.
August in some parts of the country. But they were like, oh, the teachers' unions, we can't.
No.
If teachers are in the same room as kids, they'll die. It's
Yes.
like the private school data did not bear that out. So shame on them, Kevin. Shame on the teachers' unions that you love so much.
Oh, Walling.
I'm never going to come out against the teachers' unions because I want a career in Democratic politics.
Yeah.
But I will say there are a lot of lessons learned coming out of this. You and I have had so many conversations about the effects of COVID that will be with us for generations, especially with young people. Your 2 young daughters, your son, dealing with these issues for a long time. And we did not get our act together, especially on the school issue, as soon as we should have.
No, shame on them because they were told and they knew. They absolutely knew
Yes.
from Larry's point. All right, the Man Panel will be back. We'll have much more with them in moments. First up, another win for school choice. Speaking of parents taking back their rights, the great state of Iowa, the latest to give parents the freedom to choose where they send their kids to school. Should every state follow suit? Iowa Republican Governor Kim Reynolds joins me live to discuss.